teachers of Reddit, what was the most obvious teacher crush someone had on you? Tell us what was your favorite story in the comments, and if you also have a story to share, leave it in the comments below. Let's get right into the video. I had a student ask me if I was married. Yes. This was followed by, but are you happily married? I started teaching way too young. You gotta admire that dedication. Next question, but do you orgasm when you guys have sex? Is he home to you? Do you feel held? When I left my computer unlocked and a student put naked pictures of herself as my wallpaper and a post-it with her number. What the F? Edit. First gold. Thank you stranger. Was a big surprise to come back from my lunch to did you learn your lesson? 100%. The computer is locked, even if I'm still in the room and not using it. I was a special needs teacher. There was zero subtlety. One student would constantly try to lift up my skirt. Straight to the point I see. I have a student this year who tells me how pretty my hair is every single day. He's 7. That's actually adorable lol. Right? It makes my day. I taught preschool and the owner's grandson would tell everyone we were going to get married once he was done with first grade. He even gave me mittens with hearts on them, because hearts are for love. He's in middle school now, and doesn't remember me. I teach preschool too. It was my last day at a school, because I was moving. One of the 4-year-olds announced to everyone that he knew where I was moving. When asked, he explained that Miss Pumpkin Pasties was moving in with him as we were getting married. News to me. That's a power move that can't possibly go wrong. My first year teaching high school, the A/V department made an end of the year tape for the students every year as a keepsake. That year they allowed a senior to profess her love to me on the tape. I didn't know she had done this, and they had allowed it, until it played over their A/V system to the whole school. Needless to say I was pissed. But I couldn't make too much of a stink, because I didn't want a lot of attention drawn to it, and they weren't going to take it out. Frickers. Wow, that's freaking unprofessional by them. Was it a more serious tape, or was it delivered in a joking way? I found it very unprofessional. To be honest, I don't remember if she was half joking or not, because I could only focus on the possible ramifications to focus on how she said it. The tape wasn't super serious, but it was something these kids were to keep as a memento. So I'd expect it to be mostly non-fiction. Yeah, I can imagine that. This stuff can end careers. Were there any consequences? No consequences. Amazingly, not even a question from administration of Nitotha Blue. What's this about? But yeah, my career cold been over before it even got started. Teach English in China. The girls will literally say I have a crush on you. This happened to me when Chinese exchange students visited my school. They are very straightforward. They aren't really used to privacy in this country. Government probably knows about your crushes before you do. Bit of a different one this. Parents' evening. Single mum comes in to talk about her son. Her youngest daughter, probably about 4, runs in, jumps on my knee and exclaims, "My mummy says you're going to be our new daddy." Longest parents' evening of my life. How did the mom react to this? She actually handled it really well. Just came out with something along the lines of, "Oh, isn't she silly?" Obviously I just tried my best to ignore it and get through the appointment as quickly as possible. I was 24 at the time and the only male teacher in the school, and the first in several years, so I was fairly experienced when it came to dealing with comments made by students, but this one threw me right off. I teach at a local university, and I've had a few, including one who used to sketch me during class, one who tried to put his arm around me, etc. The most obvious and persistent was a student who used to follow me after class every day, show up at my office just to talk, and spent all of his time attempting to look down my shirt. He ended up dropping out of college halfway through the semester. Have sketched teachers. Definitely did not have a crush on them though. A student who had a crush on me wrote a straightforward proposition and asked another teacher to deliver it to me. This teacher was a mentor of sorts to the student, so you'd think he'd do something wiser and more responsible than what he actually did, which was deliver the note and threaten me with some form of unspecified violence if I told anyone. So I informed the principal, and both the student and teacher were transferred to other schools. I had a student who had a rough life. Mom pretty much abandoned him, and grandma was raising him by pawning him off to family on the weekends. I knew he was going to have a rough life if someone didn't step in and let him know he mattered. He asked me one day how I would know if someone loved me. I jokingly replied that that person would bring me coffee in the morning. A few days later he came into the gym with a huge smile and a cup of gas station coffee. He walked right up and handed it to me along with a bag of creamers and sugars. He said he didn't know how I liked my coffee, so he grabbed one of each. He saved his allowance and asked his grandma to leave for school early so he could stop by the gas station. The next year he brought me a coffee mug so I could remember him when I drank my morning coffee. That kid will always have my heart. I teach at a university and students ask me out. I had a student once ask me out in front of the class while I was teaching, but I think it was more a power move than anything else. Edit. Bonus story. I teach a sexuality class and a student brought up negging. I asked the class for a definition, and one dude goes, "You're pretty for a sociologist." The entire class was horrified that he had negged me. Had a teacher in high school who had the same thing happen to her. She looked at the kid and said, "Honey, I teach all day, don't have time to teach at night too." That shut him down pretty quickly. When I was playing Hamlet in the school play, and the girl playing Ophelia got stage fright at the last minute, so the drama teacher had to costume up and sub in for her, on her knees in a low-cut bodice, hanging onto my leg, and screaming, "Oh, help him, you sweet heavens." I got a boner in front of 500 people. I had a kid ask me to marry him the other day. Then he proceeded to say I would be way too old for him by the time he was old enough to get married. The best day of your life and the worst day of your life. Kids are so cruel with their marriage proposals. The one where she kept staring at me in class and invited me to her birthday party, and we had sex that night. I teach languages to adults, by the way. You had me in the first half, not gonna lie. I'm not a teacher, but I do have a story of when I was a HS student. It was my senior year, and I had a crush on this young history teacher. He would come on Model UN trips with us as a chaperone, so he knew who I was. It was my birthday, and he heard from a different teacher across the hall. He said happy birthday to me, and my response was thanks, I'm 18. I blurted it out very quickly and realized literally the second it left my mouth how inappropriate it was. His response, "Well, you can vote now." Not me, but when I was in school a teacher found another student's very graphic erotic fanfiction about him. Ended up having a conference with her parents, counselor, and principal. Girl got transferred to a different classroom, but tried to shoot up the school with what she thought was her brother's secret gun. It was a toy he modified to look real. Hadn't seen or heard about her since, but before I graduated the school made it a rule that staff were not to be depicted in any creative work, and if any such work was found the owner was looking at suspension. Did she not even check to see if it had any ammo? She honestly wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Not a teacher, but used to be a Cub Scout guide. One of our boys, Tenyo, had a crush on my adjutant, 16-year girl. He swore she will be his girlfriend one day and was strangely serious about it. We laughed it off and forgot about it. Years went by, the boy became a man, joined the army, came back, went to medical university, got buff and handsome, and reached out to his old crush on Facebook. They got married last May and have a baby girl. Damn that ending though. Don't let your dreams become dreams. I had a crush on my teacher in high school. After I graduated, I asked him out to lunch with my best friend and me. He agreed. We met up a few days later, and he walked in with his husband. That was a rough day for me. That's hard. But forgive me. I just spat out my drink. Not gonna lie, that was a power move though. He knew what you wanted, and he knew how to tell you no without any awkward conversation. Not a teacher, but I had a crush on a lunch lady while I was in the first grade, and I would always say, "Hey, good looking, what you got cooking?" She knew what was up. "Did you get extra slop in the chow line?" I was always allowed to go up for sloppy seconds. Starting teaching high school English at 21 in the early 90s. Very religious. Student wrote me an anonymous letter explaining that she believed that God had put her in my class because we were meant to be together. Figured it out by handwriting. Reported it. It was last days of the school year before she graduated, so I don't think I ever had to deal with her being in my class again because of finals or something. You never know. There was a Catholic all-girls school where I grew up that had several teachers married to former students. Actually, yeah, it's pretty weird. Guys, that is all for the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. Tell us what your favorite story was, and if you also have a story, leave it in the comments.